Hello, my cyber babies. Welcome to another wonderful show with the even more fabulous Dr. Mother Love. I am so pleased and honored and humbled to have this woman on our program. She is an icon and does so many wonderful things. And now an author. I mean, if you name a resume, I got tired looking at a resume and saying all the things that you've done. Ladies and gentlemen, the incomparable Nicole Conn.
Thank
Welcome to the
you
program.
so much.
Hey, listen, this is what we do. This is when you know it's live, you know it's real,
Oh,
and
I
we
love it.
keep
Trust me.
right on rolling. You could tell
Authentic.
you can't hook it this way. Let's hook it that way. Can't hook it that
Exactly.
way, but let's hook it this way because you know who's going to fix all the crap that's going on in the world. You do know it's going to be us women.
Oh, of course, it's always us women.
It's always us women. And when they get unstuck off of stupid, we could do so many more greater things. Right
Absolutely.
now, we're going to talk to you about where you're from, what you're doing, and how you got to come to this place of making sure that this story that you've written about, Descending Thirds. Tell us about Nicole. Where'd you grow up? What was you like when you were 12?
Oh, I was a tomboy doing sports, playing on the boys' soccer team. And
So you broke the barrier from the beginning. It's like, oh no,
I've been a
you gonna tell
pioneer
me
all
what I
my
can't
life.
do? They want to tell you what you can't do.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And I was quite involved with writing from the time I was in third grade. So I
Mhm.
was always writing stories, telling stories. I used to cut the comic strip pages out and little things, and I'd recreate the dialogue and do a whole different story. My original storyboarding.
Did you when did you know that this was you said in third grade?
In
What
third grade, I wrote
third grade? What are you in third grade, like 7 or 8 years
yeah,
old?
I wrote a thing about pigs,
Pens.
and my stepfather was like, "This is really good. I wanna be your agent."
Oh, see, that when you know you got something. When your
Right.
parents tell you, because usually your parents want to seem to discourage
Oh,
people
he
who have
further
creative
discouraged
ideas
me.
like that.
He
Did you
further
get a
dis Oh, yes, he said, You need to get something that will pay the bills. You cannot go be a writer. It just won't ever happen, trust me." But, he was wrong. I actually got a 3-book deal, in the '90s, with Simon Schuster
oh,
because they
I'm
wanted
a
to
publisher
show
too.
Oh, there you go.
Yes,
He
Simon&
ac
Schuster published my very first book. Was it
You
Simon&
know
Schuster?
Chuck Adams by
Somebody.
chance?
Pardon me?
Do you know Chuck Adams by chance?
I don't know. That might have been
Oh,
after my time or
I
before
think he
my
was fiction editor. He was just fabulous to work with. Just a
time.
lovely, lovely man. Yeah.
And
So
they do have great people, and
Oh,
when they
yeah.
get your vision, they get
Mhm.
your vision. And
Yes.
so when you decided, "Okay, Dad, you really don't know what you're talking about. I can do this for grits and groceries." When
Yes.
did they think you were really nutty? When they saw your first piece of success?
I think they thought I was really nutty when I decided I was gonna go make a short film, which became a feature, Claire of the Moon, which is now it's had its 10th year re-release, its 20th year re-release, and it's having its 35th year re-release this year.
Ah, and
So
so when they saw that, were they still saying,
Oh,
"Well,
yeah, they came to the premiere and they just were, like, amazed and just completely behind me then. From that point forward, they realized I was serious and that I was
When you're seriously crazy, you have to go with it because people are gonna be looking at you, "What is wrong with that child?
I
What is
know, I
woman?"
know.
So when you started that and you start going, through it because, being in this industry is rough enough. Being
Oh,
a woman in this injury is in this industry is 10 times as rough. And people always want to say, well, you're black, you're white, you're this, you're that, you're gay, you're straight. We don't really want to hear women's stories because nobody wants to
yeah.
hear about that. And what is wrong with you? Can't you write something else? And when did you know that fiction was your genre?
I knew basically from 3rd grade on. I mean, it was always making up stories, and I started writing my first novel when I quit drinking at 24, and I'd get up at 4 in the morning, go work out, spend 2 hours writing, go to work, do the same thing, rinse and repeat. And I wrote a couple of really crappy novels, and then I decided I had gone to several film festivals and knew that I wanted to create the feelings I was having seeing authentic LGBT characters on the screen. I wanted to have other women be able to feel that feeling that I had. So, I started making women's films specifically, and I've been doing that for 30 years. So,
Because we're still here. Women are still here.
yes,
And
we're always going to be here,
we
right,
always need to
Dr.
be here.
Love?
This is the part I could never understand about men's ego, because it's all about their ego. The biggest thing
Totally.
that men feel threatened by women. Well, two things. They're threatened by our intelligence. Well, three things.
Yeah.
Threatened by your creativity,
Mhm.
threatened by the fact that you speak up, you speak out, and you're heard.
Yeah.
And how dare you have those kind of cojones and I don't.
Yeah.
Okay. So breaking through that ceiling, because it's always you crashed the ceiling when you were playing boys soccer. It was like, we're gonna be in trouble. Did you ever get the attitude that they look and go, okay, here she comes. This could be really
I
trouble.
got that from the boys. The coaches wanted me to play though, because I had lived in Europe for a couple of years and really
Oh,
learned soccer. So
uh,
I played better than anybody.
oh, and that's another thing. If you do better than they do, and it's not their
Oh,
idea,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
are just not,
Well,
isn't
it was tough. There was a lot of nicknames, a lot of accusations about my sexuality, which I didn't even have an idea of. I was just a tomboy. That's all I knew.
uh,
Um, I didn't come out to myself until I was in my early 20s.
remember
So,
you said I've never heard that. Well, no, I take that back. People have said that. I didn't know that I was gay. I didn't know I was a lesbian. I
mhm,
didn't know because I didn't know where there was nobody there to say,
at
well, this
all.
is okay.
Yeah,
Um,
back
or
then
this
it was like just not, and anytime you saw it, it was so shame-based that it isn't anything you wanted to be a part of, so you
right.
didn't think
And
it
they
just
want to diminish you. They want to, well, we'll tell you that you can't do this. Who do you think you are? And you let them know, I'm Nicole. I'm Nicole Conn. Like James Bond. I'm James. James Bond. I'm Nicole. I'm
I
Nicole.
love that.
You know, and you have to have that kind of metal. You have to have those kind of heavy footprints to put down because I was told this before, and I was like, nobody is watching me and listening to what I'm saying. Are you kidding me? You never know who's watching you.
Mhm,
When did you know? You said at 24, you came out to yourself.
mhm.
But did you kind of sort of like way back here in a little bitty
Way
pencil?
back, but I had an obsession with Clark Gable from the time I was 9. I'd read
Mhm,
Gone with the Wind, and I saw the film, and I was like, "Oh my god, Clark Gable's it."
mm.
I don't know what that was all about because I was madly in love with him, and so I didn't my sexuality didn't occur to me until later when I was drinking and started getting attracted because I was loose enough, to women. So,
Mhm. But so now, do you think? Did you find out where your drinking seed came from? Was it to
oh,
mask your feelings?
it was my real dad. We started drinking from a very young age, and he used to
Wait a
tell.
minute, you got drunk with your dad?
Oh yeah, I lived in a small place called White Salmon, Washington. We went into the bars. We were 12. My sister was 15. We were always in the bars, and he taught us how to drink. And he told us if we could stay dry for the month of January, we weren't alcoholics. So,
Wait, okay. No.
so February 1st, kid you not, we each had our favorite bottle and beers and beer pancakes early in the morning, and we were wasted by noon. So that
So
is
you
what.
you built up a high tolerance to
Oh
alcohol
yes,
then
yeah.
at a
So
young age.
by the time I was 24, I was in chronic late stages, and if I didn't quit, I would have died. So I'm
And
really
you knew
happy I
that.
quit then. Oh yeah,
What was that deciding moment? When did you know? Because you
I'll
gotta
tell
fall
you what
all
it
the way
was.
down, looking
Yep,
up to the bottom. What took you down and what made you say, Nicole, I
I
can do
uh, I was on a bender after I had gotten sober for a period of time, and I ended up waking up in a drunk tank down in downtown Portland that was like literally filled with old, seriously aging alcoholics, and they had to get dried out.
Mhm.
And I woke up in this place, didn't know what was going on, went into the women's room, saw this insane woman, and it took me like a good 2 minutes to realize I was looking at myself in the mirror. It freaked me out so bad, I cannot even tell you, Dr. Love. And from that point forward, I knew this woman who I cannot even recognize as myself
Mm.
is so close to death, and I got really serious.
You saw yourself looking at yourself in the mirror and you said,
Yes.
I don't
But
know
you
who
might like this as Dr. Mother Love. First, I have to say, your name, Dr. Mother Love, fills me with joy and just such wonderful love and inspiration. I call myself a writer, director, producer, mother, but really I'm a mother first
yes.
because being a mother is literally the most important thing you can be, period. And that's why we're always going to be there cleaning it up and taking care of it, right?
I keep waist high boots when I'm getting ready to walk through the poo poo. You know, I keep a rain hat on so when it starts spitting and acting crazy, because you got to have your whole armor on.
I know you do. But I wanted to tell you how I got sober was with Women for Sobriety, which was a completely different program than AA. It's got 13 steps. They're all very positive. You
Mhm,
use the program for the period of time that you need it. You go
mhm.
back if you need it again, but it's not like you have to go to 3 meetings a week, because if you don't, you're going to fall off the wagon kind of thing. And you sit in small groups and talk and discuss and get to know these women really well and do your problems. Whereas in AA, you're not allowed to cross chat or anything like that. Now, I'm not bashing AA.
I
My
get it.
stepdaughter's 8 months sober yesterday, and she's a
Congratulations.
player, yes, and I love her to death. My Alexandra, my little bug, and she's getting sober, and it's really sticking with her. So AA is
So this was kind of
absolutely,
generational for you.
yes, yes, it is.
And when we see that in our family, they call themselves functional alcoholics.
Yes,
If you could go to work, on Monday morning after you've had a bender on the weekend
yep,
and you could do your job, you are a functional alcoholic. Now, they didn't say there was functional,
yep,
regular people, they were functional alcoholics. And I knew people who would drink and drive and they never got into a car accident. And then sometimes I knew some people who got into a car and I'm this close to home, I'm this close to home,
mhm,
wrap their cars around a light pole
yeah.
that close to home. So
Yeah.
it's so devastating. Will you tell us a bit more about the women groups that you joined? Because I have not heard of that. And
Yes.
yeah,
Well,
hey, y'all got to watch and listen to the Mother Love Show because
yeah.
you never know what you're gonna learn on here.
It's interesting. When I got sober with Women for Sobriety in 1984 in Portland, Oregon, there were 4 chapters in Portland. There were only 2 meetings in Los Angeles when I came down here, and I hadn't gone to AA for years and years and years, but I was getting into some trouble with lots of stresses and finances, so I decided to go back to AA,
Mhm.
or go back to Women for Sobriety, and there were only 2 chapters in all the Los Angeles area. It really was intense, but it is a beautiful program because it is truly based on how women deal with alcoholism, which is very different than men from the get-go, and all of our issues are very, very different, and we are, processors. We need to be able to talk our problems out, and that's what Women for Sobriety provides, because it's a very, like, discussion-based, modality. It's
Mhm.
really a lovely program. I
And
wish
these
there were many more chapters here in Los Angeles.
Well, that sounds like a spot to start right there where
Yes.
you see a void,
Yep.
fill the
Fill
void.
it.
And there
Exactly.
are so many women out here and around the world who are dealing with these issues, and we were taught you be quiet. That's not ladylike to do
Mhm.
this, or you can't do that, or people gonna look at you a certain way, and then you start feeling like you're going from this big, and they
Mhm.
shrink you down to this big, and then you're not that small. You
Right.
you know your voice needs to be heard.
Well, don't you think that's amplified in our business here? I see your
Absolutely.
Hollywood hot sign. I mean, it is so insane in this town, expectations and what you can and cannot do. Um, I always call this town the fast track to the slow no. People have to have their yesterday, and then you don't hear for them for like 3 months.
I just want you to know I'm walking with that one. I am walking with that one. I want to give you Nicole Conn told me and said so and such and such, because it's a fast no and a slow yes. And the one thing
Yes,
I
exactly.
learned, you don't sit around and wait for that phone to ring.
Mm,
You don't sit around now and wait for that email to come in. You find the void and you fill it. And oftentimes, it might be a void that you don't want to fill, but you need to fill. When did you know that this is what you needed to do for yourself and for other women?
for
And I
the
glory in your spunk, girl. I glory in your spunk. I am
I
so
love
proud of
that.
people who walk through stuff. Like what the dude said, if you're going through hell, keep going.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor said, if you're running on fire, keep running. And that's what we do. We keep and we will do this. And I don't care if you're gay, straight, blue, black, brown, pink with green dots. I don't care. Women will we have a tendency to do, we'll put ourselves on the back burner.
Oh, absolutely.
Sometimes even off the stove, sometimes all the way out of the kitchen because you need to nurture and care for someone else.
Yeah.
When did you learn that no was a complete sentence? And yes
Okay.
was too.
I will tell you when I learned it in the fierce way, the mother love fierce way, okay? My son was born 100 days early, as a super micro X preemie. 100 days early, less than a pound, And there were only 2 hospitals in the entire country back 23 years ago that would survive an under 500 grammer. And I happened to be at Cedars, which was one of them. The other one was in New York.
Mhm.
They rescued my son. He came through C-section. He had been completely starved of nutrition from the placenta. A surrogate had carried my baby, and the placenta was completely black. He had gotten no nutrition. So he's on every ventilator. We lived in the hospital for the first 158 days of his life, and then for the following 5 years in the NICUs and PICUs of Children's, UCLA, USC, Cedars, you name it. He came with all kinds of no, you can't, that isn't done. No, we don't know what we're doing. We're experimenting on some level. And I realized that the only way my son was going to stay alive was if I fought every damn doctor in that place. And I ended up being a pretty big pain in their butts. But at
Oh.
the end of the day, I think they were really, really proud of the Nicholas's journey. I did a documentary called Little Man about it, and we shot this. Oh, okay, you know about it. Okay. I shot it before the HIPAA privacy laws, so we were able to shoot whatever we wanted in the NICU, which people aren't even allowed in. And it became such a huge hit in terms of the NICU universe and world. It won all kinds of awards. Showtime picked it up, ran an Emmy campaign on it. And the story really is about a mother who insanely so has to save her son, and even in gestation, when my partner and I had agreed if there was anything wrong with our child, we would terminate. I couldn't, you could have put a gun to my head and I couldn't do it. And I had to actually reflect on the right to lifers and how insane they seemed to me. And
Mhm.
I was literally in their shoes and I agreed. I felt my son at like 6 weeks, and there was no way in the world that he wasn't a real human soul.
Mhm.
So it was like one of those things, and I do believe in everybody's right to choice, but it was one of those things that made me have to look at,
That was your choice.
yeah.
That was your decision. How did you and your partner together handle that? Because you said that now was the did you guys use your eggs and then you had the surrogate? So it
My my
okay.
my ex had our daughter. She was pregnant with our daughter. We did the black box where we did both eggs, sperm, throw it all in, and
Mhm.
my stepbrother was my ex's sperm donor, and I had a frozen sperm donor. So we used all of those to see what would happen.
Mhm.
And at the end, when we had Gabrielle, we only had my embryos left. So when
Mhm.
we went to go to a surrogate, that's what was left, and that's how Nicholas was born. So, and it didn't fare well with us because for her, she realized it was just too difficult to have a hospital in our home and all of those things. It was not something she had signed on for. And, at the time I resented that, but I understand it now in a way that, I never could have before. And I understand that she needed to do what she needed to do for her and our daughter as well. So,
So you
yeah,
have a daughter and a son.
yes, and 4 stepchildren and a
And
beautiful granddaughter.
okay, let me ask you this, Nicole. You said stepchildren. So what step are they on? The first step, the second
You
step,
know
the
what?
third
It's
step? I
ridiculous
test
because I
this
usually just call them my
stupidity.
kids, and I call my stepdaughter's living with me, the one that's got 8 months. I call her my daughter, I call her my little bug,
She
you know?
is your daughter.
Yeah, exactly. And I hate it, but it's like I don't want to offend anybody if they don't want it to be connected in that way.
Oh, you know what? The HE double hockey's with them. When
Yeah.
you start talking stupid like
Yes,
that,
it really
I'm like,
is.
I
It
don't, I
really
don't,
is.
I
And
don't
thank
get
you for saying that because it's absolutely true.
it just doesn't make any sense to me. And when you're taking care of somebody, the step goes away.
It
You know,
totally does.
these are our children. These
Yes.
are we are their mother love. And
Yes.
you presented the ultimate in mother love. And that's what we'll do. We will kill a rock, drown a drop of water for our children.
I'm
So
stealing that from you. That is so
it was
good.
free and given because I'm like, now you could do all kind of stuff to me, say all kind of things about me. I've been every fat black name in the book. You mess with my kids and you're gonna see how
Oh, yeah.
fat
Yeah.
I am. You
Yeah.
know, and we all have that inner chick in us that you don't want her to come out. You don't because
Hey,
you don't
I'm a
want
triple Scorpio. You know,
oh, oh that you see,
yeah.
and that's dangerous. Oh, that's dangerous. And Scorpio women are really very creative and very territorial. And you don't, and will shoot from the hip. And a lot of people don't like that. Okay, but that's why you got to come in with guns blazing. See, personally, I'm
Oh,
allergic to BS. I can't. I just, and I know it when I see it. I can see it before I smell it.
yeah.
I hear it before I smell it. See, that's another thing men don't like about us. Oh well, let's have a moment. Moment's over. Now going back to your story and your son Nicholas and him battling through it. How is he doing now?
Oh my God. He has done things nobody ever thought he could. Everybody,
Hell, they didn't say he wasn't gonna live either.
yeah, I know exactly. But he learned. He operates at like a 4-year age level,
Mhm.
and he has his own language we call Nicolese. But he's the sweetest, most gentle, loving human soul on the planet, and he just feeds me up. And the people who respond to him, they get fed up because his spirit is just so loving and wonderful. And you know, I always feel like I have to defend him on every level because the world is so cruel to those that are other, and which led me
Other than
to
what? Nicole,
other than what they consider normal, which is the reason I did More Beautiful for Having Been Broken. I wanted to cast a real child actor with special needs that was truly treated in the cruelest way possible that you can imagine, and really understood the role of a special needs character in a story. And that is all about my son and my daughter. And I just absolutely am so proud of that film because of the young child actor, Freddie, um, who was played by Cale Farron. And he has Fanconi anemia. And,
that?
yeah,
And what is that? What is
Fanconi anemia, it's a rare, like blood disease, which deforms parts of the body. And he has a lot of surgery stuff he has to do on a regular basis. And he's the most, when you see him in the film, he is just truly like my son. When you hug him, you're hugging God. It's like just truly a whole unique energy. And
we mess children up. I mean, you and
yes,
what
we do.
what's normal? What's normal child? What's a normal child? When they say these are children with special needs,
Mhm.
these are normal children. They live and they breathe and they love. And one of the things that I have found out through my life is the people that call children with disabilities have no concept of what that means because they have different abilities. They don't
Yes,
have
otherly
disabilities.
abled.
It
You
has
could say.
other things that they can do that they're
Mhm.
good. I mean, when you look at Stephen Hawking, who changed the world with
Yes.
his brain,
Mhm.
and from that's why I don't get it. That's why I just don't get it. And it's wonderful to know that people like you, with your soul and your spirit, are here on the planet with your boots on the ground, willing to go through the gauntlet and fight the good fight because it is. And we know we're not going to live forever. We
Yeah.
have to get our children prepared. Even if you have so-called normal children, because I don't think there's any normal people in my family. We're normally nutty.
Well, Nicholas is the easiest going of all my children. Okay,
How many kids do you have? I heard Nicholas and Gabriella, Danielle.
Gabrielle, and then there's Little Bug Alexandra, Lauren, Buddy, Daisha, my other incredible daughter, and her daughter, Ocean, who's my incredible, sweet.
I can't believe this. I cannot believe. I didn't. One of my girlfriends, one of my dear friends, she just became a grandmother, and they were looking around for names for the baby and
Uh-huh.
everything, and they named the baby Ocean. And I
Oh,
was
yeah.
like,
Good
as
name.
vast as an ocean, as vast as an ocean. That
Yes.
is where your capabilities are and where they can grow. I remember when I was driving a school bus. Yes, I did have a real job one day, people. This is a real job too. And I drove for what they call the special children. I had kids on the bus who had cerebral palsy in different
Mhm,
stages. They
mhm.
had Down syndrome, but they were functional.
Uh-oh. Sorry. Oh my
We're on a
gosh. I'm
live
so
conversation.
sorry.
Welcome to our no, don't see. Don't even worry about that, Nicole. Don't. It's a phone. It's us. It's our time. And I
Okay.
remember this one young lady on the bus. Her name was Julie. I'm never gonna forget her. She was just to look at her. She was just a stunningly beautiful child to look at.
Mhm.
When I got her, she was like 13 or 14 years old, and the biggest blue eyes you ever saw in your life. The longest eyelashes. I'm like, she couldn't even wear glasses because her eyelashes would hit the glasses. She
Nicholas.
understood, yeah, she understood everything that you said, and she was verbal to a point. And you could understand what she said. I shouldn't even tell y'all this story. They had a little boy on the bus. He had a form of cerebral palsy where he only grew the size of like a 4-year-old, and he was still having to be transported in his baby seats. And I had a monitor on the bus. Okay, this I got to tell her. So we got the kids up there on the bus, and they strapped in, and we getting ready to take off. And all of a sudden, I see the little boy in the car seat. I'm looking in the mirror, and he just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then he started jumping up and down in the seat like this, and she would just go. They were back there getting each other off on the back of the bus.
That is great. That's the greatest story.
Okay. So I said, that is not what they're doing. They're not doing that. So I told my bus manager, I said, go back there and see what's going on. I want to make sure they weren't having a seizure or having some kind of medical episode, and we're on a short bus with the lifts and everything.
Yeah,
And I got to let the lift down, go to the emergency room. What do I need to do? Because at the same time, both of them turned beet red by the time he got there, but they weren't fast enough to get his hand out of her pants and her hand out of his pants.
Oh, God.
So I got to report it because it's an incident on the bus.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody believed me but the little boy's father. Little boy's father came in to get him out of his seat, and he picked up the whole car seat. And I said, Mr. So-and-so and such and such, I just want you to know, just for the sake of the conversation, that Christopher and Julie have been in the back of the bus. And this wasn't the first time. It was the first time we actually paid attention to it real close. And I said, they were back there and they were massaging each other's genitals. And he said, I said, I don't know what went on with your son, but he had spit slinging all the way across the window.
Oh, my God.
The father picked the kid up and said, that's my boy. That's my boy. That's my boy. And all I could do was, oh, Jesus, take the wheel.
Oh, my God. That is such a good story.
Is that a story?
That's a good story.
So to me, after that, they're not disabled. They got other abilities. They weren't disabled.
They know what's important.
They were perfectly normal teenagers.
Yeah.
And after that, I looked at children and other people who have different abilities than I do, than people that I know, and embrace them all the time. Her mother tried to get me fired because she said she wanted to go to college. She wanted to learn how to drive when she was 16. She was wheelchair bound. She was her mother's entire life. And she said, I can't wait to get away from her. I just want to have a life. I want to be able to drive. Make a long story short, she got a driver's license at 17. She graduated the same year with honors, got accepted to one of these big Ivy League schools, and she is practicing law.
Oh, wow.
Her mama said she couldn't do nothing. And how dare I tell her that she was not limited? I'm like, maybe her body don't work like you want to work, but ain't nothing wrong with her brain and her sexuality. Let me tell you.
Being an attorney is hard work.
And they do. And when you see the parents and you see the mother love and the father love them anyway.
Yeah.
So you don't get to say what your choice is. You don't get to say what my choice is. You have to live with your decision. So now back to the movie, folks, back to the book. So what was your inspiration? And tell us how Descending Thirds came about.
Okay, well, Descending Thirds was originally a mega Hollywood story. When I first wrote the book, I first wrote a screenplay when my daughter was in gestation. I was like, unbelievably creative. Things they couldn't pop out of my head fast enough. And I ended up, scrolling them all down, creating a screenplay. And I realized this isn't the way to serve this material. It has to be a book because you got to go way in depth about what these people are doing. Classical pianists. They're the most incredible, unique, precious breed. And there are just a sliver of them that can actually have a career. So everything is always super high stakes in the world of classical music. My mother was a classical pianist. She came when she had me. My father had bought her a piano. And when she came back from the hospital, she tossed me in the crib ceremoniously, nonetheless, tossed me in the crib, ran to the piano and played until I started bawling because I was, hungry. And I think from that point forward, it was just pretty much like my DNA had absorbed classical music in a way that made me love it my entire life.
Mhm.
So when I was talking about the whole Hollywood story, every major agency, ICMCAA, William Morris, and several others all wanted the book once it was written. They all wanted it, wanted it, wanted it. And I ended up settling with the third guy at William Morris in New York, and he told me if I don't get 7 figures for this book, I will eat my shoe. And back in the day
What
when
would you
Tucker
do for a
Carlson
shoe
said
bite?
his shoe if Hillary Clinton won, kind of thing. So we didn't get 7 figures, and it ended up being set up as a film with at the time Ashley Judd in the lead character of Alexandra.
Mhm, mhm,
Um, went into turnaround. I kept rewriting it year after year after year. My mother, my mother, as a classical pianist, continued to play and teach and everything else, and she plays a small role in the book as well. I call her actually by her name, Krista
mhm.
Hoven. Um,
What's your
she,
name?
Krista Hoven.
Krista.
She was teacher of the year in New Jersey. She taught piano for years and years and years after not having a career because she had us kids.
Mhm.
And now she has severe aggressive Parkinson's, and she plays that piano every damn day. And every damn day, I call her and listen to her. She's totally out of whack. She can barely make 2 phrases. She can't remember the notes. She can't see the pages. She can't feel her fingers. She told me the other day, all the black keys are 2 inches higher than the white keys. And it's been like watching somebody who loves so much what they do, they don't care. And she just lives in this passion space while she's playing, even though it's not really audible. Um, and it's heartbreaking in the same breath. So I'm so glad that this finally got published, before she's not here any longer,
Mhm.
because she's been such a part of it with the classical music. I mean, the it starts at the Kettling competition, which is based on the Van Cliburn competition, which only happens every 4 years. So it really ups the antes and the stakes. And 40 semifinalists are start the book off, and inside that 40 finalists is Alexandra, who's the lead character in the book, and Sebastian, who's what we call finger proud, handsome, a charming Lothario, but not super talented. Um, the two of them end up, falling in love. And
Mhm,
while he's trying to figure out what to do with his career, he finally decides he's going to compose like his adopted brother Conrad.
mhm,
Conrad is a genius savant. He doesn't care about anything other than the music and playing it endlessly. He doesn't care about anything until he meets Alexandra. And
mhm.
so then you have this beautiful triangular love affair happening. And
Wait, with Alexandria, Sebastian, and Conrad?
yes,
Oh, you got some scandal. You got some skullduggery going on in that big brain of yours. Because right away you talking about, the way you said it was beautiful. This triangle. Yeah, I know what that
yes,
is.
yes, it
Never
is.
had one, but I know what it is.
It's also the three of them represent the three types of creative artists.
Mhm.
Alexandra is based on myself and my mother. We're very heart and emotion fueled. Everything we do is about heart, passion. What does it feel like? Make it authentic here. And we're not technically that groovy. We may be technically thin. Um, but Sebastian is
Wait,
a
I'm technically 6'8". I told that to Lisa Leslie one time. And I just said, and she had on some stilettos like this tall, she's already like 9 feet 12. And I said, she came over to meet our kids. We took them to an WNBA game. She came over to meet the grands and all of us, and everything was just lovely. I mean, and she was looked. She's just a beautiful,
mhm.
statuesque, giantly tall woman. So I asked her, I said, "Well, how tall are you?" She said, "In my stocking feet, I'm 6'8". I said, "In my brain, me too." She almost fell off of her stiletto. She laughed so
That is so good.
we have a way of conning ourselves and telling her, oh, that's not really the case. But that's funny. You said, yeah, we kind of got that too. Okay.
Oh,
So
so um,
Sebastian, Conrad, and Alexandra.
and then Sebastian, who's not really super talented, he is an incredible showman. And he's magnificently handsome. He's charming as heck. He's unlike any other pianist there is because he's so, good looking Hollywood Joe.
Mhm.
And he then has to, sort of deal with the fact that he isn't that talented. His brother is super, super talented. And how does he create a career? And the sort of question thematically is, what price fame? What price glory? What are you willing to do to sell your soul? And it doesn't just take it, that
Oh,
doesn't
wait.
apply
See,
for artists. It's for everybody. What are you willing? I mean, in today's, sort of culture, people are willing to do pretty much anything. Reality
anything for the
TV,
attention.
So it's like, um, what are you willing to do? And so it poses that question. But then there's also this really, really cool twist reveal, and then a second twist reveal.
Okay,
So
don't
it's
tell us, don't tell us, don't tell it, because we want
I'm
people to
not
get to the
telling
book.
you the twist reveal. Trust me, I'm not.
Okay. Because, we want to know that part. We just
Yeah,
want to give them a little piece of meat to let them know what's
yeah,
going on. And I
yeah.
appreciate the fact that you didn't just encompass the competitive world of pianist competitions
Mhm.
and people who are different, but the fact that you embraced the whole totalitarian part
Yes.
of it, that it's not just the music, it's not just the the creativity, it's the outside work. And people,
Oh my
especially
God.
young people nowadays,
Yeah,
everybody wants to get into show business.
yeah.
Everybody wants to get, but you don't understand the
What
business.
it takes at all.
They don't. They come in, oh, I'm beautiful and fabulous, and I'm just going to
Mhm.
become a major, major star. And I'm going, they don't work like that. And if you
Mm-mm.
don't have some metal on, if you don't have a foundation that you can stand on outside of this business, it's going to eat you up and it's
Yep.
going to spit you out. And we have seen so many people in this industry lose their lives to drugs, alcohol,
Oh my God,
inappropriate
yes.
behavior.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, drugs and alcohol is an equal opportunity destroyer, like
Mhm.
Parkinson's. It doesn't care that your mother was a brilliant pianist, that she
Yep.
has all these beautiful, creative grandchildren. They didn't give a flying fook about that. It's what are
Nope.
you going to do about it? And how will you
Exactly.
handle it? And some people cannot handle sick wives, sick children, themselves being sick. We've heard on many occasions that I had a boss one time, he was sick. I knew he was sick. He wanted to know how I knew he had cancer. And I said, because I've been around people and how
Mhm.
they behave around it. And he said, you can't tell anybody, mother love you. I said, that's not my place to tell anybody. And I kept treating him the same way. And we had a really good rapport. And he was one of them big Hollywood studio executives that people, thought he was like the Wizard of Oz and everybody was scared of him. And they go, Mother Love is not afraid of him. I'm like, why would I be afraid of him? And we come out of his office laughing and joking and everything. And he said, she doesn't like me. She doesn't like me. I said, most people don't like you because they're scared of you. I'm not. He said, well, why are you not scared of me? I'm like, because I think you're funny. After that, butter couldn't melt in my mouth. He let me do whatever I wanted to do, and
Nice.
I miss him to this day. And when he passed away, everybody said, "Well, we didn't see that coming." And then they got confused because why was I sitting shiver with his wife and his kids and
Yeah,
his family?
right.
Duh. I'm not just one dimensional. I know people from all walks of life, and so many people outside of the others. We're all the others. If
Mhm.
you're not an old rich white man in this country right now, you are an other.
Yep,
So the other
yep,
one
you
was
said
going
it.
to be together, and the other one's going to be filling and fixing this
Mhm.
crap show. As my friend would say, this sugar honey iced tea show. Just take a word. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So when you decided to put it down in the book, you said you kept having to rewrite. When did you know you had it and this was it and this is what you were going to publish? Because, and let me ask you this, are you your own worst critic?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I am very much. But you have to understand also, everybody wanted the book in the beginning, so I
Mhm,
felt like I had written a decent novel that everybody wanted it so
mhm,
badly. But as time went by and I rewrote and rewrote, I'm a person who believes you vomit out the first draft and then the rest of the thing starts right after that. Then you
mhm.
revise and you revise and you revise and you revise. And as one of my editors said, until you want to vomit looking at the book, you're not done. So,
That's kind of extreme, but I get that.
but that's exactly how I am. Not only in that, but I agonize over every frame I cut in film because it's, it's in an artist just wants it to be as perfect as it can be. But my big thing with myself is I have to have these dialogues where I really, really want it. No, you don't. It's not good for the material. I want it. I don't care. I have this dialogue with myself and I have to always weigh what is best for the project on the whole.
Mhm.
And that has to always be the answer in what stays and doesn't stay. So I've learned that gift after the probably fourth film I did. I was like, okay, I think I pretty much know when I am going to lose my own argument.
And that's when you have to learn the fact that I can be humble. I can learn. And I tell people this all the time. I can learn from a 6-year-old. I can learn from a crackhead.
I'll
Learning
learn
from
from
a crackhead,
anybody.
I know I don't want to be a crackhead because they don't brush their teeth too much. You know, they don't. And I got a thing about people's grill and everything because how do you not know? You looking in the mirror. How
Yeah,
do you not? There are people that can fix this.
yeah, I
They're
know.
called dentists.
Hmm.
I want to dig it in my mouth, but I would rather have my teeth,
Yeah,
than to go through all of that. And we're gonna start deteriorating anyway. How
yeah.
long did it take you to write Descending Thirds to the point where you wanted to throw up and say, "Okay, this is it. I'm done." How long did
I
that take?
thought I was done in 2017 when I got the manager I have now, who is publishing it through a unique boutique agency that's called Story Merchant Books. And
I know him.
Ken Atchity. Yes, I love that man. So
Just call him up one day and ask him, "Well, so tell me about you and Mother Love."
I sure
Oh,
will.
yes, he's been on the show with me several times. He is
Yes.
just brilliant. And that's good. And you're with somebody who gets you and understands.
He's been behind this book like for years now. I mean,
Mhm,
that was 2017. It's 2025. So, and I started in 2000
mhm.
when my daughter was gestating. So, it's been all this time. And this last couple of drafts, I cut some stuff out. I thought, oh, this is better now. You grow all the time as an artist. So
Mhm,
each revision is hopefully better than the last.
mhm.
And finally, I had to meet a publication date. So then I had to be done after
Yeah,
25
that'll
years.
do. Get it
Can't
done
wait
by
to
the
get this
deadline.
book in my hand
Mhm.
after 25 years because everybody who knows my work or who has worked with me and my body of work thinks this is my best. So it's from
Oh,
that standpoint
do you
also.
think it's your best or is it the best is yet to come? Because you've been
I
doing
think
this
the
for a
best
while.
is yet to come, but I am also very partial to Little Man, the documentary, and More Beautiful. I'm very partial to those projects that I've done.
So when you go and talk to people now, are you an independent producer or do you work with the major
Yes.
studios?
Oh, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. Fast track to fast track to the slow note, hurry up and wait, meeting after meeting, my God, so many shishi lunches that it's like you give great lunch, but there is nothing happening here. So it's sort of like after 9, 10 years of that, I realized I had to just sort of do it on my own. And doing it on my own provided me all kinds of creative freedom, all kinds of
Mhm.
responsibility, but also I learned the gift of failure. Because when you're doing it on your own, you cannot be afraid of failure. You
You
have to love it to understand it in its incredible beauty. And so
in
from that
the purest
standpoint,
form because when
yep,
when you know that you've got good work, you've got to know first
yep,
before you can go pitch it to somebody else. And then
hmm,
when more see, this is the thing I'm thinking. This the one phrase I learned to live with out here. I had never been fired from a job in my life till I came to California.
oh
Never
wow,
been fired.
yeah. Well, this,
And they would say, "Well, we're moving in another direction." And I said,
yeah.
"Well, why you're not
Well,
going the direction that you're going in? Just tell me what direction you're going in. I can go to that direction." You know,
I
I'm
love
just
that.
saying.
We're going in another direction. I've heard that a million times. Yes.
Oh, and all I said was, "What direction is that?" And then they kind of glaze over like, we ain't figured that part out yet. I said, "Well, let me help you get on the path to that direction where you want to go." Oh, and
Hmm.
they used to tell new talent coming in, "Don't talk to Mother Love," because I wanted them
Oh, yeah.
to understand the business end of this and what
Hmm.
the responsibility is in this business. Okay, you got the show, you got the look, you got the talent. Now you need to learn the meat of it. You need to learn know what a contract looks like. You need to know what and what is the one throughout all perpetuity, whether known or known or unknown. I was like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not giving you nothing rights to no unknown. I don't know what
Yeah.
I'm gonna think of now. Well, and I came here with a contract. I was brought to California. They sent for me and brought me out here. So, I'm thinking I'm queen crap on Turd Island.
Yeah.
And so everybody, start coming at me, and they didn't like my aggressive attitude.
Oh
I was
my
like,
God. Because you're an aggressive woman. What a biatch. Okay.
See, that's why we had to be independent producers because
Exactly.
and I would tell him, I would say, that sounds stupid. I'm not doing stupid stuff like that. And you
Yeah.
have to know your worth. You have to know, and like you said, you have to be prepared to fail. Because
Yep.
if you can't accept failure, you're gonna have a hard time accepting success, and
Yep.
it will be limited. You have to know, and oftentimes that means getting. I walked out of a meeting with a really major television producer who had produced these wonderful television shows that are still on the air now. And he brought me in and, we had a meeting and he was saying things to me that were it was totally derogatory to me. And he was like, oh, honey, I'm tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to make you a star. And when they tell me that, I just bust out laughing. And they go, why is that so funny? I'm going, you going to make me a star? That's like telling me you're going to make me a woman. You can't make me something I already am. And he said, do you? And he was beating on that. Do you know who I am? I said, yeah. And you need to know who Mother Love is. I'm not doing that. You're being rude, racially disrespectful. And thank you very much for playing. Bye-bye. Got up, walking out the meeting.
Whoa, good for you.
He was like, wait, you can't say no to him. You can't say no to him. I said, well, why can't I say no to him? He talking stupid. I came here a grown-ass woman. I'm not getting ready to let some guy I'm not sleeping with, don't wake up with, don't cheat on the side with, tell me what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I tell him we could do this, that, and the third, and I'm with that. And I'm an apt student. He thought I was just literally out of my ever-loving mind.
Yeah, because you did something nobody else has done to him.
I would come into the agency and it would be like, they'd be on the phone. Mother Love is in the building. Mother Love is in the building. Mother Love is in the building. And I thought it was hilarious. I really did. And so and I left them and they said, well, where are you going to go? We're one of the biggest agencies in the world. I'm like, God got my agency. And I can do it with a straight face. But you understand this. And this is why, on top of all the other, you need to be this and you need to be that, they want to cut off people's creativity. And
my God.
I'm as straight as I can be. I mean, I love the same thing the boys like. I like it sweet. Shut up, Mother Love. And there are so many members of my family and in my social group and in my friends who are gay, lesbian. They're questioning. I've had so many teenagers come and say, will you come with me and help me tell my mother that I'm gay? I'm like, sweetie, your mother know you gay? No, she don't. I said, yes, she do. Now, your daddy might know it. He probably know it too, but he might not want to accept it. But your mother knows. And she's going to accept you any kind of way period. And so to be able to have the caliber of person and producer and writer and director such as you adds so much creativity and allows so many people to be in a comfortable place where they can come and be who they are. And they can allow their creativity is allowed to be explored and to blossom. And you know what that does for a person's soul? What did it do for you? What did it do for your soul?
Oh, I cannot tell you the stories I have from women who have been fans of mine who have contacted me and told me, I've watched A Perfect Ending every single day because it's helping me heal from my mother. I've watched this because it reminded me of my love story and I cried for the first time in 20 years, whatever it is. But I've had these, a couple of people that have really, really stood out. And one was a gal whose mother had died. And she was using A Perfect Ending as one of her healing tools. And she would text me stuff and send me stuff that was all really dark and dreary. And I could tell what pain she was in. And about a year into that relationship, she started feeling better. And we communicated a lot. And she started sending me drawings that were of flowers blooming and things. She just had this whole different thing that happened to her. She subsequently tattooed every single name of my films on her body. Literally every
that's a fan. That is a fanatical fan right there.
She felt like the film saved her life. In her mind, that's what happened for her. Another woman in Canada, her name is Joanne Millar, excuse me. She's become my production partner. She funded the entire Coming Out for Love series that I did, which is the first and only LGBT gay bachelorette series.
I'm going to have to watch that.
Oh, you gotta. It's comingoutforlove.com. You've got to see it because it shows
anything with love in it, I should be a part of it.
It's just the 16 contestants are diverse,
Mhm.
super talented. And in our very first two episodes, one of the women knew one of the other women who had used the N word in a social media post. And we ended up she called her out during the show, and we
Mhm.
taped it all. We didn't make a cut. We talked about all the race issues, not only out there, but within our own community.
Mhm.
And the
Mhm.
slice races. Okay, Black. Okay, what about the Asian, the Hispanic? All of them represented. We had a deaf girl on as well, representing what it's like for her to be deaf in this community.
Mhm.
And so I'm super, super proud of it. Uh, it's just one of those things where I just want people to see who we really are. And I feel like we're presented so much in media as tokens. We're on every show now and all of that good stuff, but we're token. We're
Oh,
the
so
really.
it's not just me.
Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, and we also have 19 guest judges who are super, talented, all
Mhm.
the way
Mhm.
from Sedona Prince, the basketball player, to Carolyn Giuliani, who, was really, really lovely and very open about her own sexuality and her being a unicorn in our
Mhm.
show. So it's a lot of different things. I hope people go see it because it's a lot of fun, but it also really is a great sort of archival footprint of our community in 2023.
I like what you said, that it's a healing tool for women. And
Yes.
another thing I appreciate about the way that you conduct your business and the projects that you present, it's not just all about being gay. It's not all about being
No,
LGBT.
no,
It's
not
about
at
the human condition,
all.
and then when we're able to talk about it, openly and not have to feel judged about it, it makes a big difference. And not just there, and not just in you guys' lives because of who you love. It helps people and out on our side as well to be more understanding. And I learned
Exactly.
this when I was one of my friends, God rest his soul, he died when we were 16 years old. He was the first openly gay person. They used to call him these horrible things. Oh, here come that sissy, or here come that fag. And I was like, who are y'all talking about? And I started cussing people out and didn't even know the guy that well. But I
Mhm.
was him, and we became very close friends. And he loved to dress up in
Oh,
women's clothes.
yeah.
And he said, I said, "Are you a cross dresser?" He said, "Well, because they didn't have a word like transgender back then."
Yeah.
He said, I just like the way women's clothes feel. I like the way panties feel on me. I
Mhm.
still got to wear a cup, but I like the way it feels. He's the first guy to taught me how to make my face up.
Oh,
Come on,
awesome.
girl, sit down. Let me beat your face. And I would look at him and I'm like, whose face is that? I don't look that good at makeup. And he always made me look good. Whatever I was going through, he was
Oh,
right
that's
there with
awesome.
me. And he was the first person. We didn't know what it was, that he died from a debilitating disease. And years
Oh,
later, we realized that he had died from the complications from HIV, from AIDS. And
wow.
that's when they were like dogging people out. And, well,
Oh,
that's
no,
different.
no.
I almost went to jail one time for cussing some people out and defending somebody I didn't even know. It was just the principle of it. And you don't get the right to be rude and disrespectful to him. This is
Mhm.
another human being. This is somebody's son. This is somebody's brother. How would you feel if that was your brother? Well, my brothers ain't gonna never be like that. And then you find out all your brothers is like that, and you in the closet. So just shut up. Quit talking. Your lips is moving. You're still talking.
Mhm.
And we have to call people out on that. You know,
Absolutely.
and you have to be able to stand up in your purpose and stand in your truth and be
Mhm.
strong. And that take a lot of will, being a woman. Then you want to put it, and see, what had nothing to do with being born male and female. Okay, that ain't, that's it is what it is. It's the lifestyle. It's the way we grow up.
Yep.
My aunt and uncle, God rest their soul, were the first two gay people. I used to think gay meant happy.
That's great.
We'll have
Yeah.
a gay old time. That means we're gonna have a happy time. And I
Right.
remember we were at an event and we were the cleanup crew and we're coming in and I saw my uncle, who I thought was just like one of the most magnificent, handsome men like in the world. He was
Mhm.
married to my aunt. And I thought she was just back then, they had the purses and the gloves and the hats and everything was coordinated.
Yeah.
And I left something up at the venue and I went up the stairs to get it and the door was ajar. And when I was standing there looking I saw these two men kissing and hugging.
Oh.
And I ain't think nothing about it. I think, how cool is that? I mean, how cool is that? Then I found out his wife, saw her. I didn't say I caught him. I just saw him doing that. I saw her kissing a woman. Wasn't no big deal to me. Okay, moving on. And then they would have these snide comments that people would say, behind their backs. And I said, well, how come you don't tell it to their face? That's when
Yeah.
they told me I could no longer be in the room with them because my mom was
Ooh.
big and I had no,
Ooh.
who don't have filters? Children and old people. They don't have
Yeah.
no filter. When you come in here, you don't know what you're not supposed to say. When you
Yep.
go on there, you don't give a damn what you're going to say. Because what you going to do? I'm already old. So, and that's what I believe we have to work on. And we need to work on as a society, as a community, as families. Because it's a shame how they treat people. And you let people know in this hard world, especially in being a creative pianist and classical piano on top of that, to be able to say, I can relate to that. I can relate
Yep.
to that. I can relate to those conditions and those experiences. I know what it's like to be talked about badly, and they don't even know me. What has
Yeah.
been one of the most glorious things that you found out about Nicole coming through this process? Okay, maybe not 1, 3.
Oh, the
And how
glorious
did it
thing.
change you?
Pardon me?
How did it change you? You said you came out to yourself at 24. So that you
Yeah.
had to be going through a lot from maybe 12 or 13 to 24. And
Yeah.
then from 24, you
I did.
started.
I mean, I spent a lot of that time drinking, sadly,
Mhm.
but I also
Do you think
was.
it's to hide your thought, to drown your thoughts and your feelings about how you
No,
felt?
I was like, Lillian Hellman and Dash Hammett. It's like I'm going to drink and smoke because that's what a writer does, and this is what writing looks like. You're a
Mhm.
smoker, drinker, and you don't write unless you're drinking. And then I started reading some of my journals, and halfway through the page, it starts scrolling where I can't read what I've been writing anymore.
Now
So
you know that's bad.
then it's bad. But I think that the greatest things that I've probably learned, or my greatest gifts, have been my kids first and foremost, all of them, and people in that I don't like to call them fans because I become dear friends with them. Like the woman I was talking to you about in Canada,
Mhm.
she was married to a man who had Asperger's for 40 years, who abused her. She knew she was a lesbian, but they were in a major, like one of the, like, you can't play cards kind of Christian churches that
Oh, yeah, those.
they
Mhm.
forget playing cards. If you're gay, they're going to completely excommunicate you. So he ended up having a heart attack. He ended up leaving her a shit ton of money. And so she funded Coming Out for Love. She
Mhm.
came to the set. She's around all these young lesbians and she has the time of her life. She goes back to Canada and she comes out to everybody, like
Mhm.
literally everybody, and felt like that the A Perfect Ending and the show saved her life from, there was nothing going to be there after he died. What was she going to do? How
Mhm.
was she going to be gay? Well, she found out how she was going to be gay. So,
That's
but
too funny. Let me find out how to be gay.
right, it was like um, seeing a young child blossom suddenly. You know what I mean? And
A
so I think,
rebirth, as it were.
yeah, the things that, and I learned the hard things in life when my sister, who was also my mother, committed a super violent
Okay, wait, back
suicide.
up. Wait a minute. Okay, wait, you just can't toss that out like that. And your sister,
I
who was
meant
the
she
mother who
cared
was.
for me as my mother until the age of 9, so I
Mhm.
was basically parented by her, but she was also my older sister who, always kept me safe.
Mhm.
Uh, when she committed suicide
Your
in a
sister?
very violently in 3 different ways, uh, and my mother found her hung over the banister of her house, and it destroyed me so much that I lost touch with reality for a year. I couldn't function. I could barely deal with anything. And my son was hospitalized twice in that same year, which I had to live through. Palliative care coming to me both times saying, he's not going to make it this time. And so dealing with her death and those things, I literally broke into a million pieces. And the part of the reason the title for my last film was More Beautiful for Having Been Broken is because that's what happened to me. I was shattered beyond and finally became a person who I really love, and I don't feel like an imposter anymore creatively. I feel like I know what I'm doing, kind of, all the things and all those insecurities and all the stresses. Watching my mother go through this Parkinson's now is like I'm only working half days now. I'm 65. I get to do that and enjoy the rest of things. I love my work, but I need to do other things so I don't get up. I don't end up having a neural disease like my mother. If it happens, it's going to happen. But I think those are the things that have most shaped and formed me. My son's birth, my sister's suicide, my mother's Parkinson's.
Well, we know that you are the warrior queen, and it has been my honor and distinct pleasure to chat with you. Please let us know and keep us up. Make sure the Blaine group, keeps up with us to let us
Yes,
know
I will.
where they can get the book.
Can I just tell you, this is seriously my single favorite interview I've ever done. And I've done a gabillion.
Wait a minute, and can I quote that?
Yeah,
Get that on
I'll
video.
write it down.
That is so wonderful. I'm
You are awesome. Your spirit is awesome. I love your mother. When I saw Mother Love, that was it. I was sold. You had me at Mother Love,
Well,
So
I thank you very much for that accolade. Nicole Conn, tell people how they can get a copy of Descending Thirds.
on Amazon, they can go to descendingthirds.com, the landing page, learn all about the book. We're going to be putting out a book trailer in the next day or two. And go to NicoleConnFilmsGlobal.com and comingOutForLove.com.
Well, thank you very much. And I want to
Thank
thank the
you,
Blaine Group and Devin and Adam for
Devin.
connecting us. I hope that this will
Yeah,
not be, well, no, it's not going to be our last conversation because I'll
it's
call you.
not. It
What
is
you doing?
not.
What you doing? Let's get some of the people that's in the movie, in the book, on the show.
Yeah,
It is my
I'd
pleasure.
love that. I have a couple of really great stories that you should.
Cool. And I want to hear them. And I just
Okay.
want to tell my babies, remember this, no matter how big or tall, short or small, thick or thin, doesn't matter what skin you're in, everybody needs some mother love now and then. Peace, baby.